Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Humans of Magic, the show that gets up close and personal with your favorite people in Magic the Gathering. I'm your host, James Su. You are listening to my interview with Crim Nguyen, a.k.a. the Asian Avenger. In this interview, we're sitting down, and he's going to be sharing with us all of his content creation journey, and it's a great masterclass into how an expert content creator works on their craft, how he approaches content today, how Magic has evolved as a game and also as something that one watches on a live stream, and how he has had to adapt as a creator to follow suit. Crim is great, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. You're not happy with your hair right now? Is it you just went for had a shower and kind of
it's like flat on one side.
Okay. How are you liking the blue hair? Did you experiment with you've had lots of different colors over the years or months, right?
Yeah. The blue hair is great for all the green screen stuff because it's like an off shade of green, so sometimes it just gets green screened out, and I do enjoy that part. That's fun. That's a fun fix.
You're so dedicated to your craft.
Yeah. I got to stay blue and black all the way through, James. You got to understand, I'm committed to the blue and black life. So yeah,
you've done the red as well, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I had Grix's hair at a point, but then I realized it looked like a Nintendo Switch walking around because it was like blue, black, red. So it actually just looked like a Nintendo Switch, like on the sides of my head. So
is your hair color inspired just from Magic, or is it inspired by some other, cultural inspiration, like a particular character in an anime, or it's just you? It's just 100% Crim.
So I'll admit that it stems from an old anime, but it's not split. His hair is actually just all really dark blue, and he wears bright red. But instead, I do split hair because I just love the split hair, and I like blue because it's my favorite color. So yeah, you know what? It's a mixture of everything, really. It's the perfect culmination of everything.
Man, you're brave, man. I've always wanted to try dyeing my hair, but I've never actually pulled the trigger. When was the first time you did it? Was it when you were super young, or what?
Oh yeah, my mom took me to get my lip pierced in 7th grade. Dyed my hair pretty early. And then funny thing is I then went on tour to do music, and then they made me revert back to black so that I didn't stand out too much. And so then it's so we'd look like a unit. So once quarantine hit, I just went and I'm just do whatever I want now, right? So James, what I'm saying here is you can dye your hair now.
I'll be real. The only thing that's preventing me from dyeing my hair is just how fast my hair grows. I'm just
Perfect.
the kind of person who overthinks it. So it's I feel like if I have to dye any color, I would have to literally re-dye it every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because that's how often I get my hair trimmed, just because of how fast it grows. I swear my hair grows faster than my beard or whatever
That's
beard
perfect,
I can
though.
grow.
Because then you get to try a new color every week.
But isn't
James,
it super intensive? Because when my wife goes and colors her hair, it's a whole day, a whole afternoon. So it's I don't know.
We don't have a lot of hair,
a time
though.
commitment,
We don't have a lot of hair though, right? I have more hair than you do, right?
I gotta grow mine out if I really want to do something with it, I think.
No, just do split. We'll just go right down the middle. James, you just do the other half. You just do the other half, right? You'll be blue here and then black here, and then together our heads will just make one black-haired person or blue-haired person. It's perfect.
Yes, it'll be like a fusion, like a Dragon Ball thing.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Now you got it.
I feel like I've lost a bet, and I don't even know what I wagered. You know what I mean?
You've already agreed. Sorry, James. Look, I don't make the rules. Actually, I just made the rules. But whatever.
This feels like a verbally binding contract. Yeah. I put myself in a corner. So, So you were saying that when you were okay. So I remember the first time I interviewed you. You've been playing music for a very long time, and before COVID, you were back on the road with the group. So that's why you had to go with a certain visual aesthetic, because bands are often doing that, right?
Right, like you have to look like a unit, you have to look like one, right? So I couldn't just have my like silly hair colors that I wanted all the time. Or I'll say with like
Okay.
example, like one of the things back when I had like really bright lime green hair, just like this green screen, was like when the lights would come down and my dye would shine in the dark. So like it would just look like this glowing like troll doll. Like it's just like perfect. But stood out, so we didn't want that.
Definitely, definitely. So when COVID happened, no more touring, no more band stuff. So you basically just stopped all that, or
I left music quite some time, like I guess like a year or so too before COVID. But yeah, then once COVID happened, I was like, oh wait, what's stopping me from just dyeing my hair whatever the hell I want?
okay. But I'm curious about the music thing. So COVID, because to a lot of people, COVID just accelerated the decisions that we're going to make anyway. So kind of like you were already thinking about getting away from music and focusing more on the other stuff like content or magic, or
Yeah. I'd already left music a few years before that. So the only difference is that COVID just made me now really have more time to focus on content, like a lot of content.
Okay. And I didn't give you a proper intro, but I think people know who you are. Crim, a.k.a. Asian Avenger. Thank you for coming back on to Humans of Magic. And especially thank you for doing it tonight, because I know that you've been kind of keeping yourself real busy, right? Just maybe you can fill people in on what you've been up to.
I'm fresh off of like a 6-hour drive because I drive between like up and down California all the time. So just came from NorCal, back out down to SoCal. So now we're just doing the whole Crim tour, if you would, headlined by me. And it was a nice, comfortable 106 degrees. So I was very sweaty.
That has it just been a nonstop heat wave in California, or what?
Yeah, like all through it, really. It's been kind of miserable, and especially in a streaming studio where there's like lights everywhere, you definitely feel the heat even a little bit more. Yeah. So like all this lighting around me is like kind of miserable, but you know, whatever. Now you can see my forehead, like even bigger, and it's like 4D now. Whoa, dude! But yeah, like that's mainly it. Like I've just been doing a lot of that. Been like kind of like focusing in on content. You know what I mean? Like, and just these trips back and forth have also been good for that. Because then this is gonna sound weird, but like, you know, like I get a lot of my ideas, and sometimes when you just sit alone to yourself, or you're driving and you're listening to music, all the ideas kind of come to you. So these drives have been kind of good for that too. So I can kind of brainstorm my next step.
Oh, awesome. So I imagine you're driving because you're doing IRL sessions with other creators, or like filming things, or meeting up with people, or all of the above?
All of the above, really, right? Like some of it's driving home to meet up with creators, or meet up with family, meet up, you know, just whatever the reason. Like a lot of it, I've recently been called home, just so that I can, you know, see my mom as she's getting older, stuff like that. So, just try to get home and, you know, got to take care of your mom, you know? So, try to do that as much as I can. And so I drive back and forth between SoCal and NorCal, so I could see my mom, and then I, you know, do a lot of collaborations. Now that I'm in SoCal, actually, I don't have to drive as much for collabs. It's all like here. Mostly north is just for family now.
Yeah. Well, family's important. I mean, how's your family doing? How's your mom doing?
Oh, she's, you know, well, I would say she's great, but she's, yeah, you know, like getting older, the body wears down, and, you know, so you naturally have to, like, you know, slow down. But my mom is like still in her mental state where she's like, she's never slowed down. She's like, yeah, no, I'm going 110, the same that I've been all my life. But it's like, Mom, you do need to relax. You're getting older. Like you can't do everything you used to do. But she's like twice as hard-headed as I am, and extremely fiery, like when it comes to like attitude and all that. So she's like, she's a go-getter. I love her for that. It's why I got my go-getter personality, and whatnot. But like, you know, my mom should probably slow down just a little bit. She's getting up there in the years.
Yeah. No, man, family's really important. So I haven't actually seen my mom and dad since COVID began. And I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm originally from Taiwan, but I live in mainland China now. And I'm actually going to try to visit my dad finally for the first time in 3 years in Taiwan next month. There's a huge like geopolitical thing happening right now, but
Right.
I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go because I don't want to spend any more time like not seeing my family, So it's just like, yeah, you know what I mean, right? So I can definitely.
I totally get that. I totally get that. Yeah, like just do what you got to do, because you never know, right? Anything can happen. So
yeah. So I'm super envious, man, that you can just drive. I mean, it's a long drive, but I mean, it's family's important, right? So
right. And why don't I fly? Well, first off, A, it gets expensive flying all the time. Two, I don't do well on airplanes. So.
Oh, do you have a certain phobias or maybe not?
Yeah, I would say that I do not like flying whatsoever. And I know everybody gives me the statistics every time you drive your car in LA, yada, yada. But like, I think it's the lack of control while you're in the air, and that's just like, oh, that like freaks me out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Plus, you have super reflexes. So if you're driving a car and someone comes at you, you can definitely just like, teleport out of the way or whatever.
Right. I have super reflex. Again, I taught Shang-Chi everything he knows, clearly.
But doesn't that make it hard for you if you want to ever go East Coast, where you kind of just like grin and bear it, or you try to do a massive road trip or something, or just avoid it entirely?
So when I traveled, like when I went to Japan, I just cried for 13 hours.
Oh, okay. And people just thought you were watching a very sad anime or something, right?
Yeah. I just cried in silence, like kind of like pull my shirt up and then just like sit there and just like channel my inner zen.
The person beside you is just like, what are they doing? And you're just curled up in a ball, just masked and unconscious. Okay.
I will be honest. I gave them a heads up. I'm a terrible flyer. And so, like if you see, I told him, like, if you see me just like clamming up or getting a little bit anxious, don't worry, I'm fine. I'll snap out of it in a few seconds.
Okay. But the good thing is that on the West Coast, like a lot of magic stuff just happens on the West Coast, right? I mean, you're like LA or SoCal, NorCal. So it's like it's all kind of there. We're Pacific Northwest, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like either there or like, SoCal, as you had mentioned. I mean, all the collabs are here, right? So I'm not flying anymore. I don't have to do any of that. I don't play music anymore, so I don't have to tour. I don't have to fly to the East Coast, right? Like, I'm like, oh, I'm grounded. I'm on the floor. I will kiss the floor. I am happy to stay on the floor.
That must have been really hard when you were touring for music, unless you guys were just doing the whole on-the-ground tour bus thing, which is like my limited understanding of the romanticized, life on the road, or I shouldn't say romanticized, but it's just like the trope or the cliche, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why there's so many bands that write about being homesick, right? Yeah, but like, because we are obviously flying, like, is when we needed to. It was like if you had a show like in a day in like the Bay Area, but you're in New York City, you're obviously gonna have to fly, right? So, but like otherwise, it'd just be driving all the time. Like, I would rather just drive everywhere. If I could drive to Japan, I probably would. If I could drive to London, I would. like yes, that is like 7 times the amount of like air, like, travel time, but whatever.
Yeah. Hey, if it lessens anxiety or whatever, I mean, just go for it, right?
I don't know what we're allowed to talk about on this podcast, but I've tried numerous
methods. Dude, we can talk about anything, man. I've already told you. We can talk about anything. You can use any language you want. It's all good. Okay.
So I've definitely tried some things to calm the nerves. Let's go with that, right? Let's just say,
some
the
additional
devil's
help.
lettuce, the devil's lettuce, whatever, right? And like, what ended up?
I'm such a good boy. I don't even know what the devil's lettuce is like.
Totally, yeah, okay. Me too. but also like, and so yeah. I definitely had some of that to try to help, but all it did was slow down time and then made me more anxious. And then I was just like, oh no, I'm getting bad anxiety from this. So I've just learned that I do not take any kind of like help in any way, shape, or form, sleeping pills, anything like that, to like go on flights. Mm-hmm. I'm even worse under all of that. So I just go, you know what? Oh God, no! I'll just sit here and be miserable, sober and miserable for the next billion hours.
I've heard about this where allegedly, because I've never actually done it, but allegedly taking certain substances that you don't know too much about or you have not tried before
Like weed.
They could create side effects that, yes, I guess that's perfectly legal in the U.S., right? Not actually in Canada, where I'm from.
I can say that, right? Like, I'm in California, weed. So it was weed, not anything else. Everybody.
I mean, they could probably just rename California to weed, like just the state name by this point. So that's perfectly fair game. But I'm just saying that if you don't know exactly what you're putting into your body, you've never tried it before, don't do it before some major event, because you might actually feel worse, or you might actually feel like you are literally dying as opposed to being alive. So
fully.
Okay, so tell me a bit about the content grind, because there's been a whole lot of developments. You know, I've been following you semi-religiously on social. You've got like MTG Goldfish, you've got the YouTube channel, you've got like a TikTok now. Like what's all this, like, tell me about what's been up with you lately in terms of content.
Oh boy. When it comes to content, like from the last time you interviewed me, I was like, that was like the boom of Magic on digital space. Like, I mean, like when we're talking about, like streaming, Twitch, esports, all of that, that was like at the start of Magic's digital life. And now we're like 4 or 5 years removed from that. And so like Magic is in this weird space digitally where it's not what it once was, right? Like we're talking about like streaming. The numbers that Twitch channels would get back then versus now, and we're not even going to get into like the inflated numbers stuff or anything like that, right? Or seeded views, yada yada yada. We're just going to talk about like on average, like my Twitch streams were pushing probably about like maybe like CCV, I don't know, like maybe like 900 average viewers or something like that, right? And it went from like 900 to like 1,000, right, to all the way down now to like probably about 300 to 400, probably about 500 tops, right? So, once I realized that like Magic so far, like Magic, the paper game will forever be around, right? But Magic digitally, I have no idea. And so, but as Arena started to decline in viewership and all of that, I realized that, you know, like I don't want my content life to end with just as far as Arena will take me, right? So I decided, you know, well, this is the time for me to start looking into other avenues of content. And Magic on YouTube, though, is alive and well. But Magic on Twitch is like a coin toss. I don't really know where it's going, but, you know, like I hope it like keeps going, right? I obviously have skin in the game, so like I think like it's good to, you know, I want to see it thrive. But because I don't know, all I can do is just kind of like have a plan B, prepare like a little bit of a, like, you know, something to get me going in case something happens, right? So having the ability to make content on Goldfish, do YouTube stuff, has kind of also shown me another way of making content. Because I never ever intended to make YouTube content to begin with. I mean, I think that is the incorrect model to go about it when it comes to being a content creator now. But like at the way I started, I did not think I was ever going to make a YouTube video. I wanted to do everything on Twitch, and just do everything live because I love the live element of content, right? The random what ifs, but also at the same time, it's nice to know now that I've got a taste of edited content, like, you know, how you can clip things, you can get a narrative, you can drive a narrative a lot easier, right? Like you can kind of like have a storyboard, you can kind of pre-plan some of the things. And in doing that, I have changed the way I stream in a way as well. I now stream as if it, like if you took a snippet of my random streams, you could take that. I now stream like with multiple things in mind, right? And that is TikTok, YouTube, all this stuff. If you were just to go into my channel and you were to just randomly clip out 10 to 15 seconds of it, you would be able to put it on TikTok. You'd take 5 minutes of it, you'd be able to put it on YouTube. And I think that now I plan a lot more for YouTube, right? Which is weird because I started off on Twitch. But like, and I never saw me going to YouTube. Now it's the end goal. So in doing that, it also made me realize I don't want to just be contained only in Magic, because I don't only like, okay, this is, James, I don't want to lie to you and on all the listeners. And I feel like this is the best episode, the best way to come out and clean and everybody. I actually do like things outside of Magic. I don't know if like that'll change. This might come as a shocker. I know. I know.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm utterly shocked. I'm looking at you, and I'm just like, this guy is
Heaven
magic
forbid he
personified.
likes something else, right? But like, I decided, okay, I'm gonna try to just talk about my other hobbies, like, you know, showcase my love for other hobbies. Like, I love magic endlessly, but I love other things as much as I love magic, whether it be anime, just card games, video games, horror games, right? Like movies. Specifically, the new thing to do is to hate Marvel movies. So I'm there to defend the Marvel movies from cinema Twitter. You know what I mean? So like, I have so many things that I love, and I feel like the ability to turn what you love, and it sounds really bad and like sellout-y, but like, to monetize what you love and turn that into like, you know, a career or passion, like, why wouldn't I want to do that, right? So it was in that moment when I realized, like, okay, so Twitch is like taking a little bit of a dive on numbers, so this is where I'm going to experiment, right? And that led me into like, okay, now let's show how, like, you've seen me be bad at magic, but now watch me be bad at other things. and that, you know, though the numbers aren't the same, right? Like, there's a noticeable difference when I stream magic and when I don't stream magic. It's like okay, right now it's like probably, let's just say 500 viewers if I stream magic. If I don't stream magic, it's like 100 to like maybe 200, which is fine. That's a lot of people. That's still a lot of people that have shown that they will watch me play, I don't know, golfing simulator or dishwasher simulator. I don't know if that's real. That probably is in the year 2022, but yeah, let's just pretend that it is, right? If there's
It
like,
probably
you know
is.
what I mean?
Let's go with it. Yeah. I mean, everything coming out of Japan. I mean, they're
Did you know, by
wild
the
and
way, there's a
imaginative. So
game
I'm sure
of
there's
people
a
just
thing for
mowing their
everything,
lawns?
so. I don't doubt it, but you know, I don't doubt it. And as someone who I don't play many games now, but I grew up playing like Princess Maker and like these like Weibo before we knew what the term Weibo was.
Okay.
Like I was playing those games, so
James just like soft admitting he's played dating sims before they were popular. Okay. Anyways.
They were adventure RPGs, which is really what life is. You want to get philosophical
around
right?
Adventure RPGs. Dating sims. Anyways,
you need to put like subtitles for disclaimers.
Yeah.
All this, yes, yeah.
But yeah, like, so in doing that helped me kind of like stretch my wings as a content creator, and like once I started expanding out of magic, it really taught me how to like, well, okay, my knowledge in magic allows me to like meme on it, right? To like do all these things to entertain, right? Because I know magic. But now, can I do that outside of that? Like, this was like something for me to just test myself. Can I be entertaining regardless of the game that I'm playing? And that has been what I've been focusing on. That's entirely what I've been trying to do. As a content creator, no actor wants to be typecasted, right? Forever. And that is like, you know, I don't want to be like Michael Cera. No offense to Michael Cera. I love his stuff, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just be like, oh, Michael Cera playing the same Michael Cera role, right? So I don't want to just be Crim Magic Guy.tv. I want to be Crim, right? So, like, that's why this has been a fun journey. It's been a lot of trial and error, and it's kind of made me realize, like, you know, this is why I did all the restructuring, because, okay, being a content creator in 2022, you know, depending on who you ask, they'll say that, you know, maybe you don't need to do everything. But like, I view like TikTok as just, why wouldn't I want another tool to help me get foot traffic, to get out there in content, right? Now, I was a person that said I would never make a TikTok. And now we learn why you never say never. And so and now, because like I got to eat my own words, and I hate it. But look, eat your veggies, yada yada yada, right? And I think that TikTok, though I despise, like, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of short form content. Short form content allows me to put the dumb jokes that I have that are like 10 seconds long instead of turning it into a 30-minute YouTube skit, right? So it allows me to just be like it allows me to do the dumb things that I like and get that out there. So it's like another way to express myself. So I kind of like account for all of that now. TikTok, like when I stream or I post anything, I generally just think about, can this be a TikTok? Ooh, when I'm streaming, this would be a good clip for TikTok. Oh, this is a good, clip for YouTube Shorts. Oh, this is just a good YouTube video. And so this whole time, my content game is to just become a content creator, not just crim.magic, right? And though it's not like I want to get away from magic or anything like that. I'm eternally like grateful for magic, and I'm in love with magic, right? Like, I mean, I'd have to be to continue doing what I do. But I want to be more than just that. So that's what been my whole journey's been, content-wise, just turning more knobs.
I have a lot of questions to ask about what you just said for the last 5 minutes, but
cut me off.
I'll start with one question. No, I don't want to cut people off. That's not my style as an interviewer,
but
right?
James, I have too much energy and I just keep going. That's the problem.
It's okay. I want you to say what you needed to say, and I'm just going to have a short pause here. I'm going to ask you, isn't it fucking scary, though, like, changing lanes like that? I mean, you're going from something that is, as you said, it was accelerated by the presence of Magic Online and on Twitch, but ultimately, it's got to be fucking scary to go into this new domain. You kind of know you have to do it for your long-term, quote-unquote, viability, air quotes again, viability as a creator, because you don't want to be, as you say, you don't want to just be known as like the person who just does X, right?
Yeah.
But there's also something very comforting in pigeonholing ourselves in life. Let's admit it. So,
but that's the problem.
Isn't it scary? Like you're like intellectually, you know you should be doing this, but isn't it also just? I keep saying the word, but isn't it scary?
Hell yeah, it's scary, dude. That's the thing. But life is all about. Like, this is gonna be one of those corny, this is not a live, laugh, love kind of thing, but like, life is legitimately about.
It's okay, I never watched that movie. So
great.
It's over my head.
Whatever. The point here is that life is all about taking that leap, right? I mean, how did I even get to where I am now? Doing a bunch of scary ass decision trees. Like, if this were an action RPG, right, James? Then I could take the decision route of, hey, take the safe route, do whatever I need to do, and go to school, finish college, and then get an accounting job or something. And like, not if you have an accounting job, great for you, but like if that were me, I would be upset with myself every day. I worked in
it's not for you.
I worked in tech. I had tech jobs. I hated my day, my life. Every day I punched in. I worked at a social media company that I won't disclose, but like due to NDAs. But I did work in tech, right? And it was miserable. I don't want that for myself. And so there is like, it's human nature to get complacent, right? In a lot of things. But I think because, like my life as a musician, a content creator, all of that, it's shown that I am willing to take the leap, and, if I fail, I'm going to fail, but I tried, right? That's the main thing. I want to know that I tried before I like just completely pack up and go home. So yeah, switching lanes is scary as hell, but I've done it before. And I guess if you would have asked me initially, like at the first time, like, hey, are you down to leave everything at home and just, let your life at home be stagnant, but then like tour, do all these things? If you would have seen me then, I was sweating, James. I don't think you understand. I was sweating buckets, and not because of heat wave. Like I'm talking about just like pure anxiety. But I pulled the trigger, and dude, it was the best decision I've ever made. That's why I look at this like a whole new adventure. I don't know where this goes. That's the thing. At the point where you are filming me right now and we are interviewing, I have no idea where this goes. I might all of a sudden next week be like, you know what? Maybe tech guy Crim is the Crim that we need, right? I don't know. But the thing here is I want to explore this decision tree and this route of this action RPG called life until, I feel like I'm ready to pack it up. And it is scary as hell. It is so scary. The biggest fear any Twitch streamer will have is if they have a home game and they have to try to break away from that. A content creator, because content creators, we may have gotten big or known off of one piece of content, right? But that, like, obviously we all have more hobbies than that. So to ask a creator to this sounds like the band right before they release a terrible album, but they like Metallica before they drop Death Magnetic or Saint Anger or something like that. But Oh God, I even feel kind of like an a-hole saying this. I don't want to be contained into a box. I want to let my art flow freely, James. Okay.
There's this extra level too, because you actually were a musician. So I feel like I feel like in the year 2022, there isn't really a term. There really isn't a selling out anymore. Like it feels like that was sort of like an artifact of like the 90s or 2000s.
Oh
maybe.
God, did I just date myself?
If you're in music somehow, but there's no such thing anymore. So I just want to say you should just relax. I mean, it is scary, but I think we can all try to adapt and be chameleons and just try things, because like in the end, and this is now me sermonizing, like there's no such thing as failure, right? Because if it doesn't really work up to your standards, you just go another lane, and that's like there's no actual punishment other than your own internal frustration, anxiety, and opportunity costs. But that's like that's true for almost everything, right?
Right, fully. I mean, like I learned from this, right? Like, so example, I split off. At a point I turned my streams into just streaming Final Fantasy, right, and MMOs and stuff like that.
I remember that. Yeah, I watched some of those.
And let me ask you,
you're really enjoying yourself. Yeah.
It was fun, right? But let me ask you this. Do you play MMOs, James?
I do not right now. I would watch if I might watch you play, because I like you as a personality. If I don't play, then I'll watch you play, because like I never really understood, like if I'm playing a game, why would I watch someone else play the same game? Like I kind of just want to watch them play the game instead of me playing it. You know what I mean? So that I can kind of play the game through them. That's what I think it's about. So
hey, that works too. And like the reason I ask is because I learned this through exploring, which I would have never done if I didn't switch lanes. And it's that some games, I know it seems like intuitive, like, oh, obviously, duh, but like you have to kind of try it, right, for yourself to see if it works for you. Just because everyone says it didn't work, you know, like for them doesn't mean that that's the same for you. And I wanted to see MMOs, because MMOs have always been a part of my life. So I wanted to stream it. I wanted to play it. Yeah, I learned that it's miserable to watch if you don't understand the game. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like the fact that you have prior knowledge of MMOs makes it so it's like stomachable, right? But like to someone who has, like, imagine like, okay, I know Crim for his Magic content. I tune into this Final Fantasy 14. There's like 19 flashing colors, a countdown, and your little like potato character running back and forth on the map, looking like he's trying to do cardio the whole time. Why is that? Like, I don't, and the numbers are being thrown at me, and you're like, oh God, I missed a mechanic. What was the mechanic?
So as a streamer, do you have to explain that constantly as you're streaming Final Fantasy, or what?
You try, but the thing is, the thing for me,
it's impossible, right? Because you have to play too.
Right. Like, I now get it, right? Example, when I switched from Hearthstone to Magic, Hearthstone people that knew me for Hearthstone came in and looked at Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh. Why is there 4 lines of textbook knowledge on this Planeswalker card? What is that? And so, like, I've had to learn how to, like, really better my form of communication, right? In that, like, yo, this is what's happening. It's helped me narrate things better. Some people recently came by a stream, recently, and just told me, like, Crim, I don't know how you're able to narrate the way you do and not get upset with certain things that, you know, that happen and all. It's like, that's because I spent hours dying in an MMO and having to explain that to chat also while dying. And then let me tell you, nothing ages you faster than dying for hours straight doing the same thing every day until you clear.
It's like you're in that Tom Cruise movie where he dies nonstop, and I mean, that is inspired by a video game, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, arguably Tom Cruise's best movie, but that's a whole nother podcast. Anyways,
that's another one,
yeah. So I think this is all the fun in the journey of switching lanes. Everything I'm learning is just more knowledge. Like, why wouldn't I want that? Like, I get to learn all these things. So yes, to tie it all back, it's scary as hell. It's the most terrifying thing ever, but it's also one of the most emotionally, like, satisfying things. And also just like the knowledge I've learned from this, I can now apply it to the next adventure I go on. So yeah, it's scary, but I love it. Okay. And I wouldn't trade that for a thing.
I do also want to touch on something which you said, which I feel like this is kind of where the content creation trend is going. I hate to name drop him every single episode I do where I talk to somebody about content, but There's this guy named Devin Nash, and I've gotten really hooked on his YouTube content. He's basically someone who teaches you how to do content it's very meta, right? Like he has a YouTube that tells you how to do YouTube. I'm sure you've seen a million of similar videos.
This isn't like Ninja's Masterclass, right, James?
No. That was I watched the Ninja's Masterclass takedowns. It's not that. Basically, I'm just saying that Devin Nash is a guy. I think he's pretty articulate. He basically started off as only Twitch streaming, and now he says he'll no longer do Twitch streams. Like basically, if he does a Twitch stream, it's only to recycle the content so that it can be done for YouTube. It can be done for different mediums. So I feel like that trend is really, it's become kind of just normalized, right? Just like you don't constrain yourself to one platform. It's not because the platform is going to go away tomorrow. I think people have already understood that Twitch and YouTube are going to be here probably for the next 50 to 100 years, if we're being honest, right? But it's more about just like repurposing your content so that it can be a short video on TikTok, it can be this, it can be that. So as a content creator, it adds a lot of more, quite honestly, adds a lot more work, and you have to be a lot more intentional with how you present yourself and present the content. So I feel really good that you touched on that point but I do wonder like how much of a psychic energy cost does it, like, because you basically have told me that you have to now change your approach, right? Because you're no longer just streaming for Twitch. Now you have to think about, it's going to go on these like 4 other platforms. I'm going to remix it. So in addition to just not doing just one game. So that must be like, I don't know if I should use the scary word, but like that's a lot of planning, right?
Planning, whoa, dude. Let's not get aggressive.
I know, it's like, I know we don't plan as content creators. Like, what is a calendar? But it's, there's definitely that, right?
It's weird. As content creators, we plan, but we don't plan simultaneously, right? So, there's a lot of planning, but it's not mapped out. Is what it's hard.
It's so hard. Effortless. It has to look like you're not trying, right?
It has to be natural, right? Because the one thing here is, everyone knows if it's not natural. Like if I sat here with a cue card, D's nuts joke at 154, you know what I mean? Like of stream.
Right. Yeah.
It's not natural. So you need to set yourself up to where you plan it, but it's not planned in a weird way. So it's like the loosest planning ever. Like, okay.
Like you just internalize it, but it's not reading off a cue card, right?
Well, not even like, okay, you kind of, the only way to lightly put it, the easiest way to put it is like, I'm going to play Resident Evil. This game is scary. I remember some scary stuff happens here. Mm-hmm. That's it. But I don't plan my reaction. I just remember like, okay, cool. Try to keep it
natural
and organic. Yeah, like, because it has to be, right? Or else it's just not entertaining. Or it's obviously fake. So, but yeah, like, it's a lot of planning, and it's so weird because I have the memory of a goldfish, no relation to why I got hired at Goldfish, but like, so that's why when I'm streaming, I actually have a notepad open, and I just like type a quick note, and it's just like, hey, game 3, you accidentally countered your own spell, right? And I'll write that real quick, and then I just keep streaming. This is a way, so then at the end of the stream, I go back to the VODs, I go back to my notes, I go clip, I do all this other stuff. I try to timestamp maybe like 12:54 TikTok, 13:54 YouTube idea. So something like that. So now it's a lot of work, it's a lot of planning, and it's for maybe some people won't even know. Maybe it'll like the video comes up and it gets like 10 views. And people, you know what I mean, like may not even know. But the thing here is that I recommend doing that, and this Devin Nash person, funny enough, I don't know who they are. I thought, isn't that person just the person that runs Twitch or something?
He runs an agency for like other creators.
So okay.
Lots of tips on how to be a streamer, how to be a YouTuber. There's some good stuff in there. It's more like mental approach to content. I mean, I'm I'm just like a weirdo that watches these videos despite not even streaming or YouTubing. I will get into YouTube next month, which is why we're doing this video thing. But I'm also thinking about that. Just like, I don't want to be only audio, right? I mean, this is a much smaller step than what you're attempting, which is gigantic steps. But I want to get on YouTube because YouTube helps SEO, right? Helps people find the podcast. So it's like, I got to get on there because it's the second biggest search engine after Google itself. So,
right.
You know, pragmatism, right? That's the word I'll use. So.
No, and that is totally correct, right? And by the way, like, it doesn't matter how much of a change it may or may not seem. The fact that you're moving forward or pushing and changing your content at all is always awesome, right? So this step to video may not seem big compared to like switching entire genre, but it is big, right? I think it's very big. So like, that's awesome that you're going to go on to do like video. So like,
I mean, I have anxiety right now doing the video because I don't know shit about, like, I just learned how to use iMovie last week, and I can, like, you know, cut very simple clips. I don't know how to do transitions. I don't know how to do all that stuff. Like I don't have a background in this, but I know, I'm telling myself that that's exactly how I felt when I started just the audio podcast. I didn't know how to edit audio. Right. So it's like with the magic of YouTube, you can learn anything these days. So, you know, I'll deal with it as it comes, right?
Yeah, fully. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, look, you got to start somewhere. I mean, I didn't know anything at all starting this. All I knew was like a few fart jokes and like how to play Magic, right? And then I then had to turn. That's like I turned that into like a little bit more. I learned 2 fart jokes on how to play Magic. You know what I mean? So
there you go.
Like, but legitimately, this is all the beauty in content creation, right? And it's much like anything creative, art, music, whatever, right? You're always evolving your technique, and eventually, you know, you'll. The miserable part is that you'll never like you should never feel like you've completed, like, oh, I beat content, like I won, I figured it out, I've won music, you know, like the most artists will always seek to improve what they do over and over. Mm-hmm. And the problem is where if it ever gets, I get a little hard on myself, and then I just like kind of scrap ideas. I'm like, okay, I was supposed to put a video out like 2 weeks ago, scrapped it because I didn't like it. A song was supposed to come out, scrapped it, didn't like it. You know what I mean? So like that's one of the things that I do worry about when it comes.
Oh, so you could be pretty harsh with yourself then. Like you have a lot of ideas in your head that you just haven't actually produced because you're kind of like, this is not going to work for some reason.
Oftentimes, yes. There's like so many ideas I have, and it's funny because like down to even like TikToks, I have a super planned out TikTok, maybe 1,000 views. One of literally just me like, haha, corgis are cute, blew up on TikTok. That's literally, you know what I mean? So like the most, and I thought that was like the most mid thing I could have put out there, right?
Right.
But like the thing is, I've wanted to make good on just acting on it. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, let it fail, whatever. You may not like how this looks 2 years from now when you're like the biggest podcast. But you know what? You'll always have this first video. Oh, this is James' first podcast. And you can look back at the way you edit it, and you'll be like, oh, remember when I did that?
It's this is going to be the best episode ever because it's got you, and it's got your excellent hair. And like,
sure.
This is going to pop,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
But seriously,
sure,
I think one of the things that I've learned too, even as a much smaller time content creator than you are, is that you just can't predict what's going to pop or what's going to hit. Like, you just don't know. Like, I've done things this year where it's like, I put so much time into it, like 50, 100 hours. I'm just like, I think this is going to take off. Crickets. Then you interview somebody who's like anti-vax, and it's kind of, I just thought it was kind of a throwaway episode. And then suddenly the podcast goes mini viral on Twitter. And it's just like, I had no idea that was going to happen. And I honestly wasn't even prepared for my 15 minutes. Like, I probably botched that, but it's like, you just don't know what's going to hit. Like, you just don't know. Like, you could plan for like, it's not fair, right? Like, you could spend 300 hours planning like a video, like, you know, in 1080 HD, like Crim travels the world, and it gets like 2 views, and then you do a fart joke, and it has like 10 million hits. Like, you just don't know.
Right. And that's the thing about, like, this is the biggest thing. And from switching lanes, moving lanes, you don't know. That's why I think the biggest thing here is I just try to now make stuff for myself.
Right.
Like, would I watch this? Like, would I watch this? Not in a conceited way, like I'm forcing you to sit in my car and listen to my mixtape. I'm talking like, you know what I mean? Like,
does it work for you as the audience, right? Basically.
Right. Like, do I find it funny? Do I think this part's cool? Like, if I think this is entertaining and I'm happy with it, I'll put it out there. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's got like 1 view. right? The thing here is, if there's one other weirdo out there that likes the thing that I put out, yo, we bond, right? Like we bond. Like this is that, you know what I mean? So I think that's been the biggest thing for me, just learning to accept. First off, there's so many things here. Accepting that, just make something for you to enjoy doesn't mean that I should disregard numbers or anything like that. Obviously, that will always factor into some amount of it because it has to self-sustain. But at the same time, try to make stuff that you would watch, right? And that goes from game to game, no matter what, if it's Magic or whatever. So that becomes the problem where I grade myself a little too hard, but I think every content creator is guilty of this, where we'll just be like, oh, this is a great idea, watch the finished version, I hate it, throw it away. And that's been like 2 months of just time wasted. I've got so many YouTube videos for my YouTube channel that have been canned. Really? That I'm just, and I've had friends tell me, like, why didn't you put this out? Because some of it was time sensitive. It would have been great if it came out on time, like I initially planned it. But I scrapped it because I just didn't like it. I was being too picky. So make something for yourself, but also make something.
That's such a difficult line because, you make something for yourself, but then you can kind of talk yourself out of making something. You know what I mean? So, which is kind of what I hear you're going through. So,
right,
like on a much smaller scale, I've deleted tweets just because I'm absolutely addicted to Twitter, and I see that it wasn't getting any engagement after like a day. So I'm just like, it looks kind of awkward, just stranded there. Like nobody gives a shit about that tweet. But then I think what I kind of realized now is that if I can't accept, I'm not saying for everybody, but for me, it's like if I can't accept just shouting into the void and getting no reaction and being okay with that, then I shouldn't even play this game. You know what I mean? Like if I can't just do it for myself, I'm going to look at the numbers, but if I can't be comfortable just playing the game like solo, playing like solitaire, then I shouldn't be, then I'm too dependent. Like it's such a big paradox where like content creators, like we're not supposed to care what the world thinks, but we have to care what the world thinks. So I think it just fucks people up. Honestly, like talking to people about this year in this podcast, I think I'm getting fucked up too. Like, I don't know. Maybe you have to give me some advice later on it, but it's just like,
advice. Oh man, we are definitely just caught. Like we are on the same level, right? We are all in the game of content here. So I don't know what advice.
I think the best thing is that there's a community at least where you could commiserate together, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know how
bonding through trauma.
I mean, especially for streamers too. I'm not a streamer, but as a streamer, you must have like this level of deep understanding with other streamers that. It's kind of like going to war together. Like you can't relate unless you're actually in it, right? Or full time in it.
Yeah. I think that, like there's just some things that you'll only get to like relate and connect with other content creators and streamers, right? They'll just get it. And like example, like your mention of your tweet. Oh, I know I'm gonna drop duds. I'm gonna drop duds all the time. But the thing here is the one thing I've learned is to just make sure I just try. It's better to at least shoot the shot than not shoot it at all.
Yeah.
Is content creation not just throwing darts until something sticks? I technically threw darts until magic happened. Remember that?
Yeah.
I had a discussion with friends recently, and they're like, "You're like the Forrest Gump of magic." I naturally just found my way, like without intentionally trying. I just climbed my way up. That's why I would just meet people, and like they're like, "So wait, hold on, you just met this person like with no intention of anything?" Yeah, I was just like, "Hey, like." I've made some of my closest friends that way. And the one thing I joke about in my stream is that I've professionally failed upwards for years. And I have no idea how I keep doing it. So that's the thing. I don't know how to explain any of it. I just fail upwards. And I think that's all we can do together, right? Like just throw darts until something sticks.
Well, I think you have a personality for it, right? Because you can pick yourself back up, and you can basically be persistent. I think you're kind of underselling yourself there.
Yeah, one would even say I'm a petitioner, persistent. It's a magic kit.
There you go. We made it a magic podcast.
Yeah.
We made it a magic.
It's magic now. See?
Yes.
And no, seriously, I will Venmo you for laughing at my joke. Thanks.
Oh, okay, yeah. Checks in the mail, right? We're over Venmo.
Yeah. Paid actor. But legit though, like that's kind of just what you have to do. You do have to be persistent, and you're going to fail. You're going to have a-holes on the internet, but, you know, luckily for me, I love pissing people off on the internet. So when I see when I see people upset in the YouTube comments, why does Crim play decks like that? Like I
so
love
here's
that.
here's a deep cut question if you're okay with this.
Sure.
All right. Well, actually, listen to it first, and then you can
away.
decide if you want to answer it. Right.
Okay.
You did say,
what's your social security?
You did say, you know, there's a disclaimer now. If I knew how to edit and put subtitles, which I don't, that would be a disclaimer. Basically, you said that you want to make content for yourself, and I assume there's also a level of authenticity that goes with it. Like, you know, you have to be true to yourself, make content that you like. But have you ever had to be inauthentic in some way, or go outside your bounds of sort of normal threshold to do something? For example, maybe you're somebody that really hates clickbait, but you felt like you've had to make your titles on YouTube more clickbaity because you'll get the result that you want, or you feel like you have to play a certain game a certain way to produce the effect. Like, I'm not accusing you of, or anybody of being inauthentic, but it's sort of like, you know how it is. Sometimes as a creator, you're normally like a 6 out of 10 in real life, but then you have to make yourself an 11 out of 10 in some way in how you represent yourself in your content, so that it has a better chance of succeeding. So have you ever kind of like crossed that line that you've set for yourself?
I mean, the only way is like maybe like sometimes for like, let's just say for this case, like goldfish content, right? Like I've had to, well, actually turn myself down a little bit. You know what I mean? As in like there is a you know, a dampener on, like, if it were up to me, I would play a control deck every week on Commander Clash. And I would, and like, but control decks don't exactly excite the viewers. Right. And it's
not what the people want, right? Unfortunately.
So, but it's what they need. No, okay. Oh, but like the thing is, I have this whole thing on Commander content as a whole that I think that we as content creators need to stop pushing, and it is that control is bad for Magic and like in the Commander spaces, because then it makes people feel guilty for playing it when they shouldn't. But yes, so that's why, like, if it were up to me, I would be playing control every episode, a different variation of it. But I also understand that though that is what I love and what I will always play and choose to play behind the closed doors, you know, whatever, I do know that I have to play ball, and it is a team game, and that I have to play different decks. So yes, I have had to alter parts of me, maybe not turn myself up, because that's never been the problem. It's more of turn myself down in some areas, right? Like, so
that's interesting.
I'll admit that this is, you'll never hear this, but like, yo, streamers are always like, yo, I have to turn myself up for stream. No, I need to turn myself down because I get a little too hyper. I talk really fast, James. I don't know if you've noticed this. I cut myself off.
No, I mean, because I talk really fast too. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then hell yeah. See, so that's the problem though. I cut myself off, which means I lose train of thought. I play like Magic Online with an MMO mouse, so I constantly skip my own turns because I button mash one, because people like play like fossils and they take forever. Yep. And I'm just like, dude, just go. Exactly. Like, if you've seen my stream, you've come by. If somebody is taking longer than 30 seconds on their turn 0 to decide if they're keeping, I concede. I just go to the next game. I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah. Like paper Magic, I call people on the 30 seconds on the dot. Opponent takes too long, I concede instantly. Paper Magic, at 30 seconds on the dot, I will call you on time if you take too long. Like if it's at an, because that's the allotted amount of time. Every player has 30 seconds. I play slow decks. I need you to, like, you know, I value my time, value your time. Let's go. Yeah. So I feel that oftentimes I have to turn myself down for some of the things. And that is just so that like content can be entertaining. Because if not, think about it. Like, I would just play the same deck for 100 videos. You see where that is a problem, right? Like, as great as it is, as I love.
I mean that's not too bad, because it's sort of like, that's just like kind of understanding what people want, a wide range of things. I am wondering though, like, turning yourself down, like, how does that impact your collaborations? For example, when you're on the Goldfish podcast, right? Or when you're collabing with another YouTuber, like, do you have to somehow represent yourself slightly differently?
I would say probably in some ways, depends on the type of content. But oftentimes, turning myself down could mean like talking a little bit slower. Like, if there's like, let's just say a joke, a cue, right, that is supposed to hit, it requires a pause. But if I just blow right through that pause, you know what I mean? Like, it loses the effect, the punch of the joke if you just immediately go right into the next one, right? So
okay, but it's just speedier delivery, but it's not like if you're on a podcast with other people, you would say something entirely different than if you were like doing a solo podcast or on this one or something.
No. The topic is the same. Like, I will give you the truthful answer. I will tell you me, but then like there is the amount, like it only comes down to gameplay. Like in a podcast, I'm giving you every bit of who I am. I don't ham up like, you know, like, oh, I love Grixis. I genuinely love Grixis. I do hate green. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I genuinely despise green magic cards. So like, and I do have, just for fun, I whiteboarded Tarmogoyfs back before they got reprinted from Future Sight, just because I hate green. So like the point is, me on a podcast is definitely like, you know, me 110% all the time. But when it comes to gameplay, I have to turn like a collab, I'll turn myself down so that this way, you know, like, hey, there's somebody else, and then this way we can deliver the joke together, because I like that more than, you know, I'd rather have it be a team game than just like my huge forehead running like full speed ahead, right? Like, you know what I mean? I don't need that, right? So like, that's why I turn myself down, and when it comes to collabing sometimes.
Yeah. This is fascinating. Weird. This is the first time I've heard someone, you know, talk about turning themselves down. But I think in your case it's totally legit. Like, just going back into like sort of the content you're doing now. What have you found to be working so far? Like, I know you've been doing like kind of like the vlogs. You've been doing some Pokemon, some anime, hentai, just anime stuff.
Sorry, what was that, James? I didn't
nothing. It's just a glitch in the matrix. I don't know what I said.
Yeah, okay,
I have no recollection.
Okay,
what
sure, yeah.
There.
Okay, James, sure, okay, yeah.
You know, the Crim sleeping with the anime pillows segment. I really enjoyed those shorts.
Yeah.
You know, like, so what has been jokes aside? Like, what have you been happy with, and what do you think you could maybe like adapt or change up? Like, what's working and what could use a bit of a change up?
What's working is, honestly, now I've always been a little bit afraid to like fully go turn on Crim to like 100%, right? But since splitting off and doing my own channel, I can now safely say I feel like I'm 100% like at home when it comes to like it's hands on to like my editing. Like, you know, because like the thing here is there's no way I can make a ton of videos that I do, right, without there being like other editors. But splitting off and doing my own thing has allowed me to get in tune with who I am as a content creator, in that, like, you know, like, oh, this, it sounds weird, but like it helps me figure out like a better way to cut and edit to have a joke deliver better. And also, I'm not afraid to like fully pull, like, you know, like I can be as cringy as I want on my own stuff and not worry about, like, if someone's upset with me, that's great, right? Like, but like if the, like, I don't want it reflecting back on something else. So if it's like my video, great, yell at me for that, right? So I guess the one thing I'm just really proud of so far is that I've been able to just be entirely me on the video, right? Like all of me. And like I don't only want to talk about Magic. I want to talk about, you know, like anime or maybe like video games, right? Like surprise, actual video games, so that people don't yell at me for having a 3080 to play children's card games. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that's that mountain looks sick on your new 4K, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I thoroughly love that I can just do that now, right? And like I've learned, just, it's so weird to say that as a content creator, but I now can just be 110% of myself on my own videos, whereas, like, you know, like, and not worry about like upsetting anybody else or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong like at Goldfish. It's just like there's things that I want to talk about, but like, am I going to talk to you about Yu Yu Hakusho on my deck tech of like the new Rakdos mid-range deck? No. Why would I do that? Right? Like you're watching that because you want to know about the Rakdos deck, not about why I think Yusuke is a better character. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to hear that there. So I love this. I love that now, I guess it sounds dumb, but like it's like kind of like easy and like kind of like duh, Crim, but like, yeah, I just get to be me and talk about all the things I love. And in doing that, that's taught me how to like edit, how to like work a little bit more with the algorithm. Because before I never cared about the algorithm. I just cared about like, here's title, done. But now I actually try to reword the title. I think about like when it comes to TikTok, I think about like how like that hashtagging everything isn't correct. Because people that use that hashtag will then find you, realize that, yo, by the way, that's not the content I wanted. You said that this was Club Penguin, but what the hell is this Magic the Gathering stuff? You know what I mean? Which I find a lot of people do. They tag literally everything under the sun, and that actually works against them.
Totally. It also becomes like super mechanical and sterile.
Yeah.
If I may use that word, like it just becomes kind of like robots or machines doing content, which is kind of not what you want to. I mean, it's kind of a slippery slope, right? Because I'm not saying just by doing that you're a robot, but I'm saying that if you approach everything in a overly systematic way, that could have repercussions or consequences on your mindset going forward, right? Like then you start to think of everything as like a numbers game, or like however, maybe I'm not saying that's bad either, but like you got to figure out how you want to do it and then try to be consistent with yourself and how you do it, right?
Once you are entirely driven by numbers and that's all you're concerned about, that's when things like get worse for you, like at least like mental health wise. Like, I mean, I had some burnout, right? I was just like, okay, well, you know, this didn't hit the number I wanted to hit. And I took that personally. And then that went down this this downward spiral of just like, well, if I suck here, then I must be awful here. And then I just, instead of actually picking myself back up, I'm just continuing to dig a deeper hole. Right. So like that is something, at least personally for me, that's how it works. Not to say that like, you know, some people thrive off of that. Like they focus solely on the numbers, right? But I'm not a Mr. Beast or whatever. Like I don't have the ability to just like, you know, do that and like be like, you know, like all the things, like some of the content out there, I'm just surprised. They're like people like they're killing it out there, right? They're just super killing it. I love that for them. But like for me, I know I'm going to make some duds and I want to learn from them. And I don't want to be afraid of like when I have a new idea, like I don't want to be afraid of making it because, well, it might not perform well. Like that's what led to me like having 50 binned videos that should have been on my YouTube page.
Yeah, I have to admit, I looked at your YouTube channel just yesterday and I was expecting more because now I know you're just such a harsh self-critic, right? But, yeah. And
that's the problem. And so like now I'm finally like, it made me sit down and really crack my formula, which I guess in a way helps because now I've got this formula of a type of video I want to film and I can't wait to like put it together. So like I am filming that and getting it done, but now like it's the nitpicky part. The more knowledge I learn of how to edit a video, the more I dissect myself. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the loop that you stay in if you don't.
That's actually super relatable for many areas of knowledge. It's like the more you know, go deep into something, the more you realize you don't know shit. And it's actually really bad. So actually, what is that? Is that the Dunning-Kruger effect? It's like if you're an absolute noob, you actually believe you're an expert. But then the more you know about this thing, the more you realize, oh shit, I'm just like scratching the tip of the iceberg here. Like,
right.
I feel that way with other things like investing or God knows what, but just like, you know what I mean? Like work related stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like the well is so deep, right?
Right. And that's what can be good, or like, it's good to know, like to keep yourself humble, right? Like, hey, I'm just, but like a small piece of this gigantic puzzle and I want to keep expanding on my knowledge. Right. Like it's good to be humble and remember that. Don't ever feel like you've completed, like I've beaten content again. Like I've won, I've figured it out. So that's, I guess, one of the things. It's just like learning that, but like at the same time with the new knowledge I'm learning, not to like completely pull myself apart, right? Like to like be like, okay, cool. This may not be great, but let's actually put it out, right? Because technically what I've now, at the point of this filming, I've gone 3 weeks without putting a new video out. I'd been putting out a video every week consistently for months up until recently. And that is because a ton of my videos are just in Crim limbo. And that is one of the hardest things that I have to kind of get over. And it's just like grading myself too harsh. There's so many videos that just sit on my computer that have not seen the light of day. And it's funny because like I go to other friends' houses, right? And like they're like, yo, yeah, these are all the videos that I wish I put out sooner. And it's just like 30 folders that have folders in the folders that have folders in those folders of just things that they never put out.
Yeah.
And like that was one of the things I had to figure out. It's like, well, should I know I want to be like refined, right? I want to have something that is consistent on brand, but I also don't want to just never put anything out either. It just,
that's
like,
such a hard balance.
It is. And that's one of the biggest things that I've had to learn how to balance. And now that I'm finally getting out of that hole, I'm not saying like I've perfected it, but I am saying that I feel comfortable enough to where I have my content aligning with what I envision, and I'm just going to start putting stuff out again.
How do you figure that out? Is it just these long drives, or like do you sit down and just try to reflect on it? Like, what's your method? Because I'm sure this is not the first time that you as a creator has been in sort of this mental rut. So like, how do you get out of these mental ruts?
Honestly, the best thing that's happened is just legitimately, it doesn't have to be a long car ride. It's just, that's what it was for me, right? These long car rides, these bike rides, all of that, it's just really just time to myself and reflect on like, why don't I like it? Like, what is the actual reason I don't like it? Is it because the narrative is not the way I wanted it to be? If that's the case, then just go back and fix the narrative. Like, you know what I mean? Sit down, like, and see if there's a common problem that I have amongst all the videos why I don't like them. And then try to fix that. So like, recently, a lot of it is because I'm also a noob at editing myself, right? I started getting more hardcore into editing. So a lot of the times I just don't like my editing. And then I just never put it out because of that. So I instead have now gone back, practiced my editing, try to get better at it, learn more about it, really dig deep into Adobe, like Premiere Pro. And it's helped so far. So I guess I've kind of, all this time alone kind of helped me get to the root of the problem, I guess. But I don't.
Would you describe yourself as a perfectionist?
It's weird. Yes and no. I am like I am such an oxymoron when it comes
only
to
in certain parts of your life, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe anybody is truly consistent all the way through. We're all inconsistent at some point in some point in our life, but it's weird. I am, but I'm not. Like, if you look at me, I'm the most like loosey-goosey, whatever. We'll play it by ear. But also, it has to be calculated how we play by ear. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like it's weird, and this is why me streaming has been good for me. It took me a while to hit the go live button because I felt like I just couldn't stack up. Like, I'm watching all these streamers like pop off, and they're doing great, right? I'm like, okay, what am I missing, right? And so that made me, like, for a while, I was hitting this burnout where it's just like, dude, I am not hitting what I want to hit, the mark I want to hit. And that kind of led me to just being like, well, maybe I'm done with streaming. Maybe I'm done with content creation. But then, you know, just like every time, it's just like, oh, you know what? I found my second wind. And it's hard, dude. Like, burnout is a real thing and it's usually just caused by myself. Like, myself being too hard on myself.
What was the most severe case of burnout that you've had? Is it what you described then as a streamer, or was it some other time?
It's in between streaming and, like, I think believe it or not, one of the hardest times is, and this is what made me really want to explore other games, is like when a game is not fun, you know, like you are forced to play this game that you are not.
Yeah, you just don't have
right?
fun even booting up the game, right? So
right.
Why are we here, kind of thing.
Exactly. So, and then you, like, I won't name a certain set, but, like, you know, of Magic, but like there was a block that I really just felt like every day, because I do it for a living, other people can just simply turn off, go do something else. I have to make a video into this, right? I have to do this.
Yeah.
So that was when I really ran myself into the ground. And I'm just like, dude, if I get elked one more time, I swear to God. like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, what set would that have been? I don't know.
I don't know.
Could have been anything. I swear, if one more thing gets stomped or ember cleaved, if I go to Cleveland one more time, but like, it was like a mixture of that made me realize, okay, I need to figure out who I am as a content creator, because I don't want to just be confined only to Magic. And that was why, for my sanity, I had to play other games. And I didn't mind the dip in numbers. I didn't mind any of that. Like, the people that stayed along, like, they're real. I appreciate them so much. Like, I couldn't have gotten through the, like, you know, the rough stretch without them. Like, it was, I'm talking, like, to the point where, like, I had to stream it. I had to make a goldfish video around it. That is, like, almost like 24 hours on the clock just getting elked. And ember cleaved. Yeah. And you know what, I just like, it's just 24 hours, just the loop. It's like, well, time to take a lunch and then go stream it live. Like, you know what I mean? So
this is like the Groundhog Day Throne of Eldraine edition, right?
Yeah. Whoa, you said the set. I didn't say the set. Okay, I don't know.
I said the unspeakable. Yeah.
Whoa, dude. Whoa.
I mean, it's. I know. Whoa. I mean, we can cut this part out. We can cut it out. You know, it's important to have empathy, right? Because even as a player during that time, it wasn't a time of Magic that I loved. But even thinking about how it's like magnified for streamers, how like you guys have to play this game for like 40 hours or more a week, even when it wasn't the best time for the game. Like, that requires an extra level of investment. And I think as someone who doesn't stream, people should recognize that could really contribute to burnout, especially if you already have like some feelings of burnout, and then that would just kind of catalyze it, right?
Yeah. Oh, and then the amount of people that come in, bro, I thought you stream Magic. I'm like, yeah, I do when I want.
It's like, I'm sorry, I just want to keep myself sane and not kill myself. So,
like, seriously.
You know, you should just sticky that into on
Would
your
that be
OBS
cool or no? Like, are you okay with that? I'm sorry, random viewer.
Are you okay if I enjoyed other games once in a while when, you know, there's literally a million other games and those games seem more enjoyable at the moment? And
it's
you know,
always
are you okay if I try to resurrect my own, like, save my own mental health? Like, I guess so. Yeah.
Would that be chill or no? Like, it's not. It's cool. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No, like,
and then the guy's like, no, totally not cool. Totally not cool.
Then, you know, my bad, I guess. Like, I honestly don't think like that. That's why like burnout was so big, and that's why you see streamers, the big streamers that are still doing it to this day, and content creators are still doing this day. You're going to them for their brand, like, of them, right? At this point, you don't care what they play. At least the ones I watch, right? I don't care what they play. I will watch whatever they play. Like one of those streamers, you know, like is you know, it's pretty easy for me to just watch no matter what they play. Is probably like Dog, but he plays like a lot of card games, so I guess that works out. And then of course, like I'll watch like Day 9. Like Day 9 plays numerous variety of games, so I love that. And you know, like that's kind of what I want to be, and that's what I aspire to be. Now, of course, that's like, you know, not saying that I will like leave Magic and, you know, give everybody the bird, you know, like it's just like I just want to do that, and that's what prevents content creators from burning out, because like burning out like is so prominent. Like, how many times have you brought a viewer, an interviewee on, and you know, every content creator has gone through burnout, right? Like they've probably mentioned at some point they've dealt with it, right?
I can tell you that 99.9% of content creators have. I know you're special, Crim. I know, and I believe you're special. But like every content person has gone through the cycle, with the exception of one person I interviewed who says he never felt burned out in 10 years of streaming Magic. Which I think that just means that he's wired or he's built different. Like there's some
literally
it's sort of like
different.
when Alex Honnold like does the free solo stuff like Mountain Climb on Yosemite. Like there's something about his brain that is probably different. So that, but I think for mere mortals like us, I think we'll probably feel the burnout, right?
Yeah, and I think that's just like it sounds weird and almost like a toxic work life kind of thing, but like. We all have it, and I think the biggest part is trying to figure out how to get over it and like move past it. Because like when you deal with your first big major burnout, that usually makes or breaks content creators. I mean, if you look at the number of content creators that's like I had so many friends that I loved streaming with that I started out with, right? Some of them aren't playing or like even streaming anymore because they did it every day and the burnout got to them, right? And it's a part of the industry, I guess. So it's like it's all about trying to figure out how to balance it and like get over it. And yeah, like it's tough, dude. It's really tough. Like it's like there's like some long nights where you're just sitting there and it's just it doesn't go away, man. And you're just like, I know I chose this. This is not like the worst thing to be doing, but like, people think streaming and content creation is as simple as I turn on the camera, right?
Oh,
like,
hell no.
Right?
Hell
like
no.
every one of us in the like that has even been in any form of content creation knows this is not true. Right, like the hours that we do like put into this is not just on screen, right? It's off screen. So the off screen stuff is when it gets the worst. So like and that, oh man, like there's just some nights where I'm like, dude, maybe it's just better that I don't know, go work, like go I don't know, be a SpongeBob
Go work a
impersonator.
minimum wage job or something.
Yeah, go be a SpongeBob impersonator or something like that, right? Like, sure.
Yeah.
Like I would rather almost do anything else because it sucks. I think we've all been there where it's like it sucks where like we want like our content to hit a certain mark, right? Or like some of our like views have fallen off, right? Like, but that's like Magic as a whole, right? So like that was why the nights when I would like have it the worst would be when I told like it was like when I saw the decline in Magic, right? Like Magic was like on Twitch, and so like I didn't want my content creator life to end there if it did go down. So that's why I'm slowly but kind of like building a little bit of a padding underneath everything for me. So like that's one of the biggest things, and that also in doing that helped me get over the burnout because it wasn't, oh, how do I deal with getting Uro'd for the 19th time? It's more of just like, okay, I've gotten Uro'd for the 19th time. Now I'm just like, yo, like I don't even feel like pain anymore, right? I'm just like emotion. I've been dead inside for years. No, like
that could be another problem. That could be another issue. But I get you. But like, it's like I'm now desensitized to getting Uro'd, and some people may argue that you should never be desensitized to that. You should always remember how miserable that card is. It's a green card, and it's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Maybe I've gotten run over by it enough times to where I'm just like, okay, this is fine because. I've copiumed and gaslit myself into believing that like it's for the greater good and that, but like legitimately though, doing like setting the padding up and knowing that I know that I am not just gonna be a Magic guy forever, right? Like I know that at some point, like I'll be on Goldfisher as long as they'll obviously have me, and I love that, and I'll stream Magic, but like. I now have found footing and comfort in myself as a content creator outside of Magic. And that helped me really deal with the burnout. Because I think the burnout, it's just this like slippery slope where you start tearing yourself down in numerous ways. And once I figured out how to like deal with the burnout, I do feel kind of invincible, right? Like I do feel like, okay, well, I suck at this game. Or maybe this game isn't fun right now, but like that's why I'm okay with like playing this. And like I was okay with like having significantly lower numbers because it still meant that I had a community that would watch me through thick and thin. And I said it earlier, but like you have no idea how grateful I am of that community because they truly were there for the Crim show, the disaster that is the Crim show. And like the wheels were never on, so they could never fall off. So,
right. They're always just hanging on the hood of the car.
Yeah, bro, you never even put them on, right? Like, so that's why I'm excited because now, legitimately, it does feel like I put the wheels onto the car. We're moving forward, and I'm loving this. So my content creator life, it feels like I'm trying to sell you on like something that is a very easy method, but it isn't because mileage may vary, right, as always. But for me, just figuring out that like I can play another game and like trying to figure out like how to make content outside of my normal comfort zone really helped me. Like that, like the thing that very much so scares a streamer from going and playing a new game is actually what renewed my streaming life and my content creator life. So I don't know if that works for everyone. That's the thing, and it won't. But like for me personally, trying something new legitimately really, really helped. And like not like trying something new as like just like, oh, and then like bag on Magic. No, I mean like try something new and like actually genuinely get into it. Like not as an escape from Magic, but because I want to try out something new. Right? There's people that will stream something new from as an escape from something. But like I genuinely wanted to play these games and wanted to make content around it. And that in doing that, it just helped me grow as a content creator. And
so
that,
you have a base in you're secure in your base in a lot of ways. It's just like you're trying to expand the base. You're not trying to like blow up the base and say I'm gonna blow all this up. I'm no longer doing Magic. I'm gonna just like do entirely Yu-Gi-Oh now from now on. And it's like it's like a gradual exploration. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and that's all you can do as a content creator, right? I think that's great. Like just gradually exploring more and trying out things that you may not be comfortable with. Like if you didn't like example, I would have never seen me editing my own videos. Honestly,
really?
I never saw again, me with my nevers. I'm never going to do YouTube.
Never TikTok, never
going to do a
video
TikTok.
editing, right?
I'm never going to edit a video. Literally doing all of that right now. So, and I think that's really made me grow as a person and a content creator.
Right.
Because I've learned so much, dude. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. Not to overly psychoanalyze. I'm not even qualified to do that. But is it also possible that you just have a personality that lends itself to having to mix it up? Like, let's say that it wasn't, Magic's decline or like feeling that you have to get into other types of content. Like, or put it another way. Let's say that you somehow get very, very good at editing YouTube videos and your YouTube channel really like blows up, right? I mean, not literally blow up, but it goes up. It grows a lot. Yeah. And I have to choose my words carefully here.
Thank you for clarifying that, by the way.
Not die, but the opposite of dying is like it does really well, right? Yeah. Let's say that you reach a new level with your new thing. Do you think then you'll just have to like tell yourself mentally, you have to like challenge yourself, or maybe even create challenges to, like Michael Jordan, he created slights for himself so that he could constantly push himself to do more, to succeed in some way. Like, could that be a part of your personality as well? It's just like you're never satisfied, just period.
I don't think that's just my personality. I think that's just the human psyche, right? I mean, like we want
human condition.
Yeah, like we want to just like explore more, right? We always want to explore. It could be our downfall, right? Like how curious we are. This is how we open. Like we do atom smashing, and then we open up a black hole that's too big, and everybody goes in, right? Or who knows, right? But like the thing is, I think that that's just natural, right? And we're always going to want to do that. We don't want to be confined to anything. Why do you think musicians always make an album that's different from the last one, or tries to? And when they don't, they're like miserable. You could tell they're like, oh God, I made the same album again. You know what I mean? Like, so when you're in the world of arts, right? Or like something creative, you're always going to want to explore and do something new and grow your palette. So I don't think that's just something specifically to me, but my personality, because it's weird, I can watch and I can listen to one song for like a week straight. I can do a lot of redundancy. I can handle the mundane. I can do all of that. But when it comes to art or something creative, I have to be changing always. So I don't know that. And maybe that's the one outlet where I need to constantly expand. Maybe now I get why Jace, everybody's favorite vanilla character, is always exploring, right? Like he wants more knowledge. And maybe that's me. I just want more knowledge and I want to do more things. Because I think what it is at the end of the day, the reason why I am that way is because I want to know that I can entertain you despite the game. Like I'm not like have you ever asked a content creator if they're being carried by the did they make the content, or does the game already kind of have the content built into it, right? Do you like like, you know what I mean? Like, because like there are some games where the content comes naturally, right? Magic, the top decks, right? Like the bad beats, that naturally leans into the content, right? But then there's some games where you are the content. You're in the driver's seat. Yeah. It's like you went from rhythm guitar to lead guitar, right? So you're like now in the driver's seat. And you are the focal point of everything. So I want to know that I could do that. So that's what I think the burnout led to, like, was just me questioning if I could do that. Like, am I being carried by magic? You know, like, am I being carried by my home game, or can I be entertaining and make content on my own? And that is something that was very important for me to figure out in order for me to get over the burnout, to keep my streaming and content creator life going.
The human mind is really special, though, because I have talked to content creators who basically admitted that they were carried by magic or by game X, and they seem fine with it. They're just like, nothing against them, right? They're just saying that I admit this is what happened, survivorship bias. I was very lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. And I am grateful for what this opportunity gave me. And I'm at peace with that, right? So I think different people deal with that situation differently, or they can rationalize, like, even though I'm in this box, I can still do a special thing inside this box.
Yeah. And again, right, like, I fully respect everyone's hustle, how they get there, how they do whatever they do. Hell yeah. More power to them, and them figuring out they know what they like and what they're okay with, right?
It's
and
not necessarily for you, but that's kind of what we're talking about, right? Different people have different mindsets. So,
and I am in the camp where I need to know, and it is solely, it's selfish. Like, it's obviously selfish. I need to know that I can entertain you, which is weird, because it's like oddly selfish, but almost but
also serving, right?
Like, it's like, it's hard to explain that, but there's nothing more satisfying than knowing that I can entertain you. And so, but like, it's weird because, like, I wouldn't say I'm the kind of guy that, like, lives off of your approval when it comes to certain departments, right? Like, if you have something to say, you think I do certain things weird, whatever, I don't care. But when it comes to my stream, if I know that I can still entertain somebody, it is fun, right? Like, it is fun. Because then it means that I'm entertaining you being me, not being anybody else. So that's probably like the most pleasing thing about being a content creator for me, because I always loved entertaining, right? That's always been my thing.
Yeah. You made me kind of ponder, to use a magic term, ponder a lot of things just now.
Boy.
Because, like, one of the challenges that I have is I really love doing, to make it about me for a second, right? Like, I really love doing this interview show, but at the end of the day, I recognize that it's the guests who are carrying the show. It is Crim that is carrying this episode, not because of how great or not great I am. And so there's an extra level of thing there. And I've actually thought about, like, should I try to do more personal content and just do monologues and maybe experiment? It doesn't hurt to experiment. Maybe I could, like, do some shorts or something. But I wouldn't call it quite imposter syndrome, but I would say that it is something that, as someone who likes to think of himself as pretty thoughtful, like, I do think about that as well. You know, there's that extra level of carry. It's kind of like just, it's pretty much equivalent to being an interviewer in some other domain, or like being an esports caster who's, like, entertaining, but then are you carried by this game or this habitat you're inhabiting, as opposed to actually something about you? So I think the only point I'm saying this is not to make this a sob story about me, but kind of just like, I hope we can recognize that no matter what situation you're in, even if you are carrying the Asian Avenger stream, right, which you literally are, like, the human mind can always think of ways to fuck itself up, or to second guess itself.
True.
Right.
I mean, yeah, but you see, James, first off, it's very easy that this is your show. You were hard carrying. Okay, because without you, I would be unfocused, and I would be, did you know that there's paint on my wall? You know what I mean? Like, I would probably talk about that paint right now. But like, one of the biggest things that goes underappreciated, like, I think feels severely underappreciated in the world of, like, this kind of content, is the interviewer. Do you know of a dude named Caleb Presley?
I do not. I have to look them up. Like, are they a interviewer?
Yeah, he does a bunch of interviews, right? And it's like all like comical, right? Like it's comedy. And what he does is he interviews people, and he asks them the most dumb questions and hilarious questions, and they are not told any of this beforehand. It's not prepped, so he just comes up with these silly questions and asks them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's some people that he interviews that just give one-worded response. Like, imagine a terrible date going wrong. Like, okay, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, right? Yeah. Like a terrible date going wrong, which is like that's a really bad date. But yeah, but he is able to recover and pull it back, and he is such a good interviewer that it doesn't matter. He could interview a pickle. It doesn't matter. I will have a good time watching his interviews regardless. And James, that is where you come in. See, you've got a voice for radio, and you do the hard carry. I think you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I appreciate that. And also the interview you mentioned, it's I don't know if you've ever seen like Nardwar, the Human Serviette. He's this brilliant interviewer from Canada. He's got his own YouTube channel. He interviews a lot of musicians and celebrities and artists, and he is known for just researching the most obscure things. So imagine you're a celebrity, right? And you're actually shocked by how much the interviewer knows about like who your best friend was in the second grade or something. Like he literally interviewed like Billie Eilish and just like popping off, just like, and his line is amazing. Like, because they're always shocked. They're always like, how the hell did you know that about me? And then he always says something like, for example, if it's Billie Eilish, he'll say, "You're Billie Eilish. We have to know." Like that's his shtick, right? And it's absolutely awesome. This is actually something that I have to admit, I didn't do this with your episode because we didn't have that much time. But for some people, I will actually ask them for references. Like, can you recommend a few friends of yours that I can talk to get background on Crim? And then I will actually ask them, like, what are some things that people may not know about Crim, so that I can use that against you or pop it on you in the interview. Because I thought that was just like a brilliant technique, right? Because this is also why I love doing the show too, because we're not really talking about magic, if we're being honest here. Which, right. If you're listening to this, like, God bless you if you've made it this far, because like it probably means you're not entirely just into magic, right? Because
that's not
the thing
possible.
about a lot of magic content creators or just magic personality is that they have talked about so much magic. Like, I've talked to people who, like, they're known for doing something in Commander, and they were like shocked that we didn't actually talk just about Commander. I could see them kind of like autopiloting in the beginning, like just wanting to talk about Commander. Then I had to kind of like pull it back and like, no, I don't actually want to talk about Commander, man. I just want to know who you are and, your background and where you're coming from and how you approach content. And they're just like, I've never been asked that before, because I think magic is still a relatively small space where people are not celebrities, but when people do content, they're always talking about just magic. So I kind of wanted to also break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! This is a super long monologue. This is not what I wanted to do when I did this interview with you. But I just wanted to kind of share that, because that's what keeps it exciting for me, and that's how I try to avoid burnout. Although I have to say that,
James, your voice for radio,
I have felt that
you'll never have to apologize for a long monologue. All right, your voice for radio.
I'm also Canadian, so like Canadians are known to talk about the weather and also for apologizing. So I'm trying to hit my Canadian quota. Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't even mention.
I also have a hidden bias for getting guests who are from Canada. So that's my secret, and now it's out. But I'll make exceptions for cool people. So.
I mean, well, really, it's CA to another CA, right? So, like, I
there
also,
you go.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like you haven't mentioned Tim Hortons once this whole stream. So I might be a better Canadian than you, and I'm not even Canadian.
Also, I haven't really mentioned weed on my side, because I grew up in Vancouver, Canada, which is like the capital, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody knows about, the North American Amsterdam, or whatever name there is for Vancouver these days. Anyways, there's actually Tim Hortons in China, but that's another story too.
But that's
the price of globalization. So
that's not the same. That's not the same. That's not the same. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like that is a brilliant way to invite, like, that is to tie it all back. Like, that's one of those things though, right? Like I care about it more than others, right? Like trying to figure it out if, like I think it's for me, am I entertaining enough? Is the content what's making me, or like, is the game making me, or am I making the game? And I think that is, for me personally, the biggest thing I care about as a streamer or content creator. I don't care what I'm like, honestly, that's why I'm okay trying so many different games, because I've now feel like I've gotten in my groove.
But I mean, I have to say, like, if you're trying to like prove something to yourself, which it sounds like you are, like you can make it, that it's not just magic, that you can entertain, you can create content that people want. I would argue that you've kind of proven that already. Like I don't know, like, do you have some, because we talked about the danger of using numbers to justify something, right? But you must have a feeling that you can do that. Like it's just sort of this innate, it's got to be in a sense of innate confidence, right? Like like, I don't know if you're looking for like some sort of magical number, like, okay, if I get this X, then that means I've made it, because I think that's also kind of a fallacy, right? Is to think that way.
No, like there isn't like a hard number. It's more of like actually, like a state of mind, or like just a place that I need to be mentally, right? Yeah. And I think I figured it out when in trying to look for a number. I found out there was no number, and it was just all me all along, right? And once I figured that out, I got really locked in and comfortable. And I'm not, and I don't want to come off as spiteful, like to like anybody that doesn't like, that stopped watching me because I stopped streaming Magic as much, right? As in like I stream Magic and other things, right? But like, I just really I realized that there are like, it doesn't matter how many people are watching me, how many views I get on a video. The fact that anybody watching me at all still has me chuckling. I'm like, okay, cool, that's awesome. There's somebody out there, and I think that helped me get in my groove.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't. I'm biased, right? Because I'm not inhabiting your mind, but like I just feel like there's not, like, you can sort of prove that to yourself now, that you're capable of entertaining people through a love of something, whether it's anime or a non-magic game, right? So I'm not sure like how much you have to prove to yourself, because you can kind of feel that, like it's either there, you either have it or you don't. I think you have it. Well,
you know what? Let me ask you this then, James, to prove if I have it or not. What anime do you like, James? What's your favorite anime? Right now, on the spot. Don't think too hard. First thing that comes to mind.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Wow.
I mean, you just said it. I'm literally rewatching this on my TV right now. I'm literally rewatching the show. Actually, I actually never watched the anime, so I only read the manga growing up.
Okay.
But it's crazy how I have never revisited the story in 25 years since I last consumed it.
Yeah.
And I can actually remember all the storylines as I'm going through it. Like, that's how much of an impression it made on me.
Good. That's awesome. I rewatch it every year. It's great. So, okay,
I mean, if I'm being honest, my all-time favorite manga anime is gotta be Slam Dunk. I've read the series, probably 50 times. And as someone who loved basketball growing up and is Asian, like, how can you not love that show?
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's either it's like Saint Seiya, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the cookie cutter. I had all the toys. I had like I had like, you know what I mean, like with the whole costumes and stuff. I had like the old wave stuff. Like when I was like 7 years old, I got my mom to go buy me that stuff.
Like Ronin Warriors,
Yu Yu Hakusho, exactly, right? You have like the bronze and the gold, different styles and stuff like that. And I'm actually rewatching that show now just to relive my childhood, because I am very nostalgic.
Right.
But I have to say, like, Saint Seiya, Yu Yu Hakusho, Slam Dunk, I think that's my top three. Maybe like Dragon Ball Z might make the rotation, but that's more like, I also went through all of that, obviously. So
there's like water cooler talk that apparently Slam Dunk is actually what Kuwabara does after he gives up the spirit hunting realm,
Yes, that is possibly a theory. That sounds like something that you could watch a 2-hour video on YouTube, which is the magic of, it's the magic of fandom today, which is like, because like back in the day, like I don't know, it's like I was reading those mangas when I was still living in Taiwan as a kid. Now that I'm a lot older than I was when I first read those or watched those things, I don't feel that much passion towards anime now. So like I feel like I was really into like Japanese culture and like Gundams and like PSPs and PlayStations and mangas and comics, and then one day it just kind of stopped. So maybe there's something wrong with me. Like how do you keep your sense of fandom going? Like I feel like there's only so much mental energy I have for stuff. So it's like once I got into Magic or other things, then I just had to drop certain things. So how do you do it?
I mean, very, very simple. I drop everything once. At least some point, like think about this. So at some point, I stopped reading comic books because I thought like that's where I'm at right now. I no longer read comic books because it's just not great. I stopped reading manga and watching anime because everything was an isekai for a while, right? And then I stopped watching.
I don't know what that means in isekai.
So it's like it was a trend where you're reborn into another world, and usually you're OP as hell. So you're absolutely busted. Like you're born in a new world, and you're like, I don't know, able to like shoot fire out of your hands and pretty much essentially be a god.
Oh, so you mean like a lot of there was a trend of like a lot of the stories are just that?
Yeah, they're just you're reborn, you're doing something overpowered in the new world, and it's just the same story over and over, right? And Magic at one point, I mean, I technically stopped. I stopped playing Magic roughly around what's that? Like Skull Clamp for like a couple of months. Because I got tired of playing against Skull Clamp, right? But then I came back, right? So, like many things, all my fandoms, they go in cycles. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I always love it along the way. I don't think I ever fall out of anime. I just rewatch the stuff I've loved before as opposed to watching new stuff. I reread old mangas and comics as opposed to, like, the new stuff. And, yeah, so, like, that's kind of just how I stay in the world, but not exactly up to date. So... But yeah, like, which, by the way, like, Slam Dunk is an amazing anime. As a Sacramento Kings fan, and, you know, we technically haven't lost a single playoff game since 2006. I haven't been in the playoffs since 2006, but, you know, whatever, that's fine. Haven't lost.
Yeah.
Silver Line.
Hey, you should be excited about the Kings this season, because I'm an NBA mega fan. I follow all the teams. Like,
James,
they've made some good offseason moves.
James, if you're an NBA mega fan, you know better than anybody else to not be excited about that.
I know, to not be overly optimistic. So I am a Bulls fan. So I, just so you know, I lived through several dark seasons or ages of the Bulls.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, last time I got excited, what happened? Like, we had a Jimmer Fredette. We traded DeMarcus Cousins for
Jimmer
peanuts.
Fredette. Yeah, shout out to Jimmer Fredette, who was last seen in China, I think.
Yeah. See, so, I don't know. You know, like, I've learned to just be like, you know, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
you mean Harrison Barnes is not the savior of the franchise?
We'll see. I honestly don't. Okay, you know what? We're not even gonna get into the fact that we traded Halliburton for like. Whatever.
I think all Kings fans rightfully should have rioted based on that.
I mean,
and yeah,
it's why I watch basketball animes, because I know I'll never see the Kings play. At least the anime basketball teams will win something, right?
Let's just stay in this fantasy Japanese manga world where, you know, the Japanese basketball players are like 6'7" and like play like Dennis Rodman, the Chicago Bulls. Yeah,
yeah. But they're also like 13 apparently.
They're also in
like,
high school. Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this is a grown ass man. Like, you're trying to tell me this dude is like 13? This is a legit grown ass man.
It's sort of like that trend we had in the 90s and 2000s where all the high school shows were like, they were like Naruto, like they were played by like 30-year-old people playing like 18-year-olds, which is really creepy in retrospect, but whatever.
Yeah,
we'll go with it.
Yeah. Dude, that was really bad.
That was really bad. We just didn't know any better. We just did not know any better. There was not internet discourse. There was not YouTube. There was none of that.
There was none of that. Also, like, literally watching, by the way, any game of Steph Curry is literally watching an anime. It's like the same thing. Like, he just does these Christmas land shots that I'm just like, okay.
It's a video game.
He's just out there playing 2K, and I'm just like, okay, dude, whatever, man. Like, whatever, dude. Sick, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, Crim, I think this might be a good time to wrap it up. Like, what's the best place for people to find you on social or the internet, or where you would like to be found?
So oddly enough, YouTube won't let me have the Asian Avenger. So I just have to put my name, Crim Nguyen, CrimNguyen.
Are you saying that some imposter took the name, or what?
I don't know what happened. I genuinely tried to change my name. It won't let me. It just keeps saying it just won't let me change my name to anything but my name. So I even tried to name it like Squidward 69420, and it wouldn't let me do that. Right? Like, so
really?
So I don't know why, but maybe YouTube is just trying to make me earn my title again. But
I think so. See, that's when you'll know you've made it, is when you're allowed to change your name to Asian Avenger on YouTube. Then you can retire. Basically, you can go out on top.
I'm done. I've beaten YouTube. And then like everywhere else, the Asian Avenger, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and eventually some new platform that I'll probably be in denial about. I don't know.
Just say it right now. You're never going to use TikTok 2 or whatever.
Yeah, TikTok
or
2.
Tick. The new version of TikTok. Videos can only be 2 seconds. Tick. Never use Tick.
Well, I'll never be on Tick, and I'll never do all of that. Although, I'll be on there soon.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, Crim, have a great rest of the evening. I know it's getting late over there, so thank you for dealing with my shenanigans and my weird line of questioning. I really appreciate it.
No, that's totally fun. I love being on the show every time. I appreciate you having me, James.
All right. Have a good one.